Hey, this is Tim Wolf, and today I'm talking about mindset and my new mantra, which is be so good they can't ignore you. I got a big banner that is about 2 feet by 6 feet, and I put it up in my studio. Here's a photo of what it looks like. I want to talk a little bit about the mindset behind that. What I found is that people don't take you seriously, and I think that's a factor of all musicians go through this, not just people like me. First of all, there's this mindset, and I've read this is not original thought from me. Being a music artist is about the only industry where people ask you, oh, you play music full time? Oh, are you famous yet? Can I hear you on the radio? Have I seen you on TV? That's the highest level of success. There's a lot of musicians who make a great living and have great success who you probably have never heard of. Even artists, mid-level artists who make a very comfortable living, but they're not on TV and they're not on the radio. And it'd be the equivalent of if you ask somebody, and what do you do? I'm an electrician. Oh, do you have a home improvement show on HGTV? How come I haven't seen you on TV? Oh, what do you do? I'm a chef. I work at a restaurant. Oh, how come I haven't seen you on the food channel on TV? You must not be successful yet. Music is the only industry where people seem to think that you're not successful unless you're at that particular level, and that is a complete fallacy. So we start with that. People have expectations about where they think you should be, and so I think all musicians deal with this, and especially when people say, well, when are you going to get a real job? There's a lot of this stigma, I guess, that you can't make money from music, and it's true that the average income for band or individual who has a recording contract, and this is a few years old, so the numbers may be a little bit outdated, but it's $10,000 a year. That's below the poverty line in the US. Just because you even got to have a recording contract doesn't mean you're going to be making money, because record labels operate on like 96% of the people they sign. They don't expect to even pay back their advance. They live off the prosperity of the entire label. Their model is, and it always has been, they live off like the 4% super successful artists, and the rest of them you may get signed and you'll record your album, but they may not even release it. There's a lot of stories of bands who signed a 5-year deal and the label had them record an album and they never released it for whatever reason. They just put it on the shelf, and there's nothing the artist can do. They're locked up for 5 years and they can't get their music out to the world. They can't go anywhere else because they're locked up with a contract, exclusive contract. So there's a lot of bad contracts in the music industry, but these days independent musicians have gotten wiser. There's a lot of help out there for musicians. Entrepreneur is a company who helps independent musicians survive, and they advise don't sign a record deal, because in 2023 you can do everything that a record deal could do for you independently. It costs money, but there are ways to raise money. A record label is basically a bank. They loan you money, they give you an advance, and they expect you to recoup it. But like I said, 90% of bands never recoup. So if they give you a $100,000 advance, that is not a paycheck, that's a loan. And from that $100,000, just example, it could be more, it could be less. Some artists have gotten $1 million advance. But out of that, typically you're expected to hire a producer, hire a recording studio, hire musicians, and produce an album and deliver an album to them. And then you get approximately 15% of the revenue from the sales of that album, and that doesn't come to you. That actually goes against the $100,000 or $1 million account that they gave you, and you don't get a cent until you paid that back. And like 90% of bands never recoup that. They never get that paid back, and so they never make money from their music. That's the harsh truth of the record industry. So there's that. First of all, being an artist is super hard. That's number one. Another thing too, people don't want to listen to new music. This is just a human fact. In fact, I've seen an article that said that people stop taking in new music, willing to take in new music in their early 30s. That once we pass like 32 or 33, that we are more willing to just listen to the music, especially that was popular when we were a teenager. I'm guilty of it. It's very hard for us to be interested in a new artist and to willing to onboard that new music. I have to force myself to listen to music, artists, and songs that I'm not familiar with, and I'm a music artist. It's just human tendency. No harm against anyone or no negativity. It's just a human tendency. So it's hard when you're an upcoming artist. It's hard to get people to be interested in listening to your songs. That's number two. And number three, when you're someone my age who's had a career in business and have decided as a kind of a second chance career. People ask me, my elevator pitch, what do you do? I'm a romantic rebel making alternative songs for those who need a second chance, because I'm on my second chance career. I played in weekend bands all my life, but I always had another career. I was an entrepreneur. I had snack food business. I worked in corporate America. I had an export business, exported soybeans to Japan and other Asian countries for tofu and soy milk, that sort of thing. So I've had quite a lot of experience in business. I made the decision to leave all that behind, sell my business, close down the business, and work on music full time. Of all of the different things I've had in my life, corporate America, working for someone else, and then the second phase was entrepreneurship, where when you're an entrepreneur, you know how hard you have to work, making payroll every week. If you know, you know. It's not easy. Now, probably the third phase, so maybe this is my third chance, in a way, is being an artist. I've not worked harder in my life and been more serious about any endeavor previously, more than I am being an artist. I work on it full time. I work on it 60, 70 hours a week. I have this cube. It comes from Tamicular, and it's got, I think it's 8 sides. Whatever I'm working on, I turn it to that side, and then it records it on the app, so it keeps track of my time. If I take a break to go to the restroom or get a snack, I put it in its cradle so it's not recording any time. So I'm very anal about recording the time and working hard. That's just one thing, time management. I record 60 to 70 hours every week working on my music. I'm songwriting. I practice my guitar. Guitar is my main instrument. My standard is I have to practice at least an hour a day to maintain my chops and to still continue to grow. I played in a lot of bands as a lead guitar player, but I still need to play every day and practice every day, learn new things, advance. I'm desperate to get better at and even improve even wherever I'm at, for whatever level that might be. But nonetheless, my observation is people look at me, and I'm obviously not a 20-something kid or person. They think that it's just a hobby. If I hadn't made it by now, I can't be any good. I can see the wheels turning in their minds. I have a lot of people telling me that they want to work with me, they want to write with me, they think that it's just a surface level hobby, and they don't realize the number of years and the books and the training that I've been to. I spent a month out in Hollywood, West Hollywood, at Create Studio, learning how to produce every day, a whole month at the famed Westlake studio. I've spent a lot of money improving myself, learning to be, for someone to come up who's just a casual, maybe has written a few songs and wanting to, thinking they're at my level, it's hard to handle. And people not taking you seriously is something that I've really observed. And I think even above and beyond the first two things that I mentioned, how musicians struggle just in general. People don't see you, they look right through you. And maybe I got a chip on my shoulder, possibly. But for whatever good or bad, I've taken that chip and I've motivated it. My mantra is, be so good they can't ignore you. I redouble my efforts to improve my songwriting, to improve my guitar playing, improve my piano playing, improve my production. I do work with a producer. Occasionally I'll produce a song if it's the timing of it is fast and he can't get to it. So I'm still doing some producing. I believe the best produced songs are the ones that my producer Kenny produces. He's a better producer than I am. He's been doing it full time for 30 years. But on occasion I still produce my own stuff. Be that as it may, I'm working so incredibly hard and I'm so incredibly serious about advancing my career. I have big goals. My ultimate goal, I'd love to win a Grammy, which means respect of your peers. And you might laugh when you hear that, but you have to have big goals. Wildly improbable goals are called WIGs. That it would be one of my ultimate. There are others, but that's one of them. I want to be good enough to earn that, and I want to continue to strive to improve, and I'm that serious. Someone asked me recently, where do you want to take this? You've gotten your music on Spotify, and I think the implication was, now you've got it out there, you've completed this hobby thing. I'm not 100% sure what the thought process was, but in the context of it, yeah, you've got the music out there, you've accomplished that, so maybe move on to another hobby. Oh no, that's just the beginning. Just putting it on Spotify and streaming, that is not an accomplishment to me. I want to reach more people. I want to touch more people with my music. I want a multitude of people to experience the emotion and help them process and amplify whatever the emotions. A lot of my songs are deeply emotional. Probably my most well-received song so far is Frequency, which I wrote when I was in the middle of a really hard time, a relationship that I had hoped was going to work out, did not work out, and I was extremely distressed and depressed, I would say. In the middle of that emotion, I was like, is there anybody out there? Am I ever going to meet that person? Is there anybody on this frequency? Will I ever find someone that I can vibe with? And I wrote the song Frequency, and the comments I get almost daily basis from people just touches my heart, because it reaches them and it touches something that they want to feel, and it helps them amplify. That's what music does. Helps us process and amplify the emotions, whether it's a happy emotion or a sad emotion, or maybe a thinking about something. Protest songs get you to think about things and imagine. So there's a lot of different ways that music serves us, but music is invaluable to our lives, in my opinion. And I want to continue to improve my skill set on building great music so that I can reach more people and help more people and touch them. And that's my why. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not going to stop. I plan to have another 30 years. I'm reading this book called Younger Every Year. It was written in the early aughts. One of the guys that wrote it was 70 at the time. Now I Googled his name because I just started reading it, and it's about aging is inevitable, but decay is not. That's the main message. If you take care of yourself, you do these things, exercise hard, exercise intensely, eat the right things, and also social, you have to have social connections. When they talk about the longevity of people in these green zones that live substantially above the average lifespan, one of the main things is their diet, it's their exercise, but also it's community. Connectivity is very important. You combine all those things, decay is not necessary. We're all going to die. The Bible says that we're all appointed a time to die. There's no doubt about that. I'm not talking about being eternal and not dying in this body. That is going to happen. But you don't have to fold up the tent and go home when you start collecting Social Security. Absolutely not. Anything can happen. You can die earlier. The doctor who wrote that book in the early aughts, now, the guy who was 70, he wasn't a doctor, but he was kind of the test person. He's in his late 80s, and he said he's still skiing down double black diamonds, and he's better than the majority of the people on the slopes. The guy's almost 90. There's a lot of musicians. I mean, I saw a video of Ringo Starr. The guy's, I think, 83. You would never guess it. I don't know what his secret is. Of course, money helps. You have the best nutrition, the best medical care, but Ringo Starr looks the same as when he was probably in his 30s. He was walking out of a restaurant with his wife, Barbara Bach. So the decay is not inevitable. And so I plan to be on that path. I plan to have another 30 years of a music career. I'm planning to make something out of it. Don't think that this is just some retirement hobby that I'm on. 100% not. I am deadly serious. Anyhow, I just felt compelled to make a video. First of all, it's really hard to be a music artist anyway. It's a difficult profession. People don't want to take on new music, but when you do it as a kind of a second or third career, it's hard to get taken seriously, on top of the previous two things. But my mantra, be so good they can't ignore you. And that's what I'm sticking to. And you can take a look at my banner, which is in my studio. I encourage you, whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, go for it. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Peace and love. This is Tim Wolf.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Wolf. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please go to the link down below in the description. There's a bit.ly link. Listen to my music at Spotify. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to an artist if you follow them. If you would be kind enough to like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Finally, be sure to subscribe. And also there are other videos on this screen that you can watch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.